The fresco cycle starts in the upper left-hand corner of this wall, where you see the caravan of the Magi making its way down. And when you hit that orange tree, right, we've already discussed the symbolism of oranges and the meaning essentially is the source of the Medici coat of arms. Just to the right of the orange tree, you'll see this young man wearing a blue hat that looks suspiciously like an orange press. Well, that's just pure coincidence. We don't care about him, but we're going to use him as a point of reference to point out all of the portraits that are included in this group. One row below that young man, an older, crabby-looking man with this old-style aviator hat on, is a portrait of Pope Pius II, the Pope who gave the Medici permission to build this chapel in their home. One row below him, and then slightly to the right, you have this clean-shaven, very serious-looking young man with a furrowed brow and pursed lips. And if you look carefully at that red hat that he's wearing, there are golden letters written across, spelling out the name Benozzi, Latin for Benozzo, the first name of the artist. That is a self-portrait of the painter Benozzo Gozzoli. One row below him, and pushed back a row, you have a portrait of a 6-year-old Giuliano de' Medici, the younger of the Magnifici brothers, and the brother who was assassinated in Florence Cathedral in 1478. To your left of him, the older boy, nearly in profile, is a 10-year-old Lorenzo il Magnifico. On the front row, the figure on the far left on the orange horse was the illegitimate overlord of an Italian city called Rimini. His name, Sigismondo Malatesta, a mercenary general by profession and client of the Medici Bank. He sort of represented the muscle branch, if you will, of the Medici family. Next to him, on the white horse, is Galeazzo Maria Sforza, Lord of and soon to be Duke of the city of Milan, also a client of the Medici and also muscled should they need it. Then you have this older gentleman riding this donkey, and you think to yourself, who would be so modest and humble as to show himself riding this most simple beast of burden? The answer, of course, Cosimo. But then you remember that someone else once rode a donkey, and he rode it into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. And his name, of course, was Jesus Christ. And so we're back to that who the hell do you think you are question. Is Cosimo simply showing himself as this simple citizen, or is he showing himself as a megalomaniacal equivalent to the Messiah himself? Now, to the right of him, you have Cosimo's firstborn son, Piero, whose nickname was the Gouty, because he was essentially bedridden by gout. And Cosimo had already handed over the control of the family to his son and stayed on in a kind of consigliere position, right, to ease the transition between generations. And you notice the way Piero was presented, riding this magnificent white charger without reins, right? He simply holds on to the mane of the horse to show power. But if you look carefully at the bridle of the white horse, right, you'll see more Medici propaganda. In the upper band, you have this motif of 3 vertical feathers separated by rings with the Medici balls. But more importantly, on the lower band of the bridle, you'll have the overlapping rings with the letters S-E-M-P-E-R inscribed inside. Semper, Latin for always. And so essentially, the Medici forever, an explicit dynastic term. They would never use it anywhere else because people would understand what they were up to, but they could use it here because this was a private space. And what the Medici did publicly and what the Medici did privately were often 2 different things.